All right, let's go ahead and get started. Before we go into our transition and maintenance tips, I would love to hear if anyone is just excited about something along their journey. Is anyone here getting really close to transitioning from the weight loss phase into the optimization phase?
I am.
Let's see, who's that?
Sandy.
Sandy, tell us your quick story. Tell us what you're excited about. How much have you lost? How are you feeling?
I lost 22 pounds, and I lost the first 6 weeks. I lost 20, and then I kind of was not being good, and so I've lost another 2, but I probably will lose another 10. But I'm getting close. Really close. I'm in a normal BMI, which probably will make it a little slower.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're on, and just stay really connected with your health coach this last 10 pounds. They can give you just the top tips on how to get to your goal. But
I need this because I'm now a coach, and I have a client that's transitioning right now, and I don't know how to tell him to do it.
All right. Well, this will be good for you.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You're doing great, and you're getting close. So that's great to kind of see what's ahead. Anyone else want to share something that they're excited about?
I'm just here to eavesdrop and be
All
nosy.
right, that's totally fine. Are you on the program?
I am.
How's it going so far?
We'll find out. Thursday would be our 30-day mark. So I caught what I thought was a keto flu. So for a week I just didn't really stick to it because I wanted to heal. So I had to drink a lot of juice just to, get over this keto flu. But it wasn't the keto flu; it was just a regular flu. So yeah. So we'll see. Because right now, when I checked, it was just 12 pounds. So I'm not disappointed. My husband's at 20, but when he weighed in, I was like, I'm at 12. But he was like, then I realized, no. Remember, I skipped that week. I skipped a week, so that can make a difference. So,
and Griselda, remember, never compare yourself to a man because men just lose faster. That's normal. Just celebrate your successes. You're doing great, and I'm glad you're feeling better. So thanks for being on.
Yeah. So.
All right. Anyone else? I'll share something I'm excited about. Just my quick story. My name is Liz Jensen. I've been a coach for about 7.5 years. And honestly, I started the program because I had a lot of baby weight to lose. I've had 6 kids and gained a lot of weight, and that was really frustrating. I did not have any energy. I was so tired, and I was a sugar addict. And I love the Optavia program. It got me to my healthy weight. I lost 45 pounds. But what I love about this program is that also teaches you how to keep it off, how to continue to work on your health and become a healthy person. And that's honestly why I became a health coach 7.5 years ago, is I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to gain that weight back because it's a lot of work to lose it, and you're working on your mindset, and I wanted to continue to get healthy. So I love being able to share the program with other people and teach them how to keep their weight off. So we just wanted to do this Zoom tonight to just go over what transition looks like, kind of what you can look ahead for, and give some tips on how to keep your weight off long term. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. If you have something to share, please unmute yourself, but this way you don't need to feel like you need to keep everyone quiet around you. And I'm going to share my screen really quick. I love seeing all these familiar faces. All right, and I'm recording, so if you have someone you want to share this with, we'll have that. All right, we're going to talk about life after the weight loss phase. The 5-in-1 is super simple. It's proven. We know that if we stick to it, we're going to see results. And it's nice that it's really done for us. We don't have to think very much. So the real work comes after you hit your goal, right? When you're making your own choices and doing it more on your own. I love to use the meal replacements still in this optimization phase because we're busy. It makes it simple, but you also learn what you can do in place of those. Because of course you're not going to be doing 5 of those a day. So we're just going to go over how to keep it simple. Before we go over tips, I just wanted to go over the basics of transition, just so you know kind of what that phase looks like. And you guys, if I could give you any piece of advice, well, I have lots of advice, but Transition is so important. A lot of people get to their goal and think they cross the finish line, they hit that number, they're done, right? And then they just start eating carbs again, and they're not ready. Their body's not ready, their mind's not ready. Transition is so important to reset your metabolism to a higher place, because you're going to be eating more calories, more carbs, and to really get your body used to eating carbs. It transitions from using your body fat for energy back to using carbohydrates. If you were just to go and start eating carbs again, your body's going to store those up. It doesn't know what to do with it. It's going to just store it in its fat cells, and we do not want you to gain it back. So the transition gets your metabolism reset. It gets your body used to eating more carbs, more calories, but even more than that, or equally as important, it really transitions your mind. It helps you know what to be eating. It helps you learn how to eat 6 small meals, how to pair them with carbs and protein, and really to have a good relationship with food. That's really what this is all about. So once you hit your goal, I always recommend going 1 more week on the 5 and 1. So you have a little bit of a buffer. I love like a 2-pound buffer, because when you start eating more sodium, it's natural that your body would retain a little bit more water. And I don't want you to freak out if you gain a couple pounds, you know, so having that buffer room is really important. So reach out to your coach when you're getting about 5 pounds from your goal, kind of go over this again, but then go 1 more week so you have a little bit of a buffer. All right, first week of transition is really simple. You continue doing the 5 and 1, but you're going to add in an extra cup of vegetables. And I like to do this separate than your lean and green. Your lean and green is already a big meal. You don't need to add an extra cup right on top of that. So I just say, like, cut up some veggies, take an extra cup of veggies, like cut up veggies with you during the day, or you can do an omelet in the morning or something. But I think just having some cut up veggies and just snacking on those midday is really simple. Now, the nice thing about this extra cup of vegetables is it can be any vegetable. It doesn't have to be the low carb vegetable. You can add in a cup of sweet potatoes or carrots or peas. It doesn't matter. So you're getting your body used to a little bit more carbs. Okay. And you're still doing the 5 meal replacements. You're still doing your lean and green, just adding the extra cup of vegetables. All right. The second week, we're going to move into fruits. And this is really exciting because you're going to start eating fruits that you haven't eaten in a while. You're really going to enjoy each food group as you add that in 1 week at a time. Now, in this week, you'll continue doing that extra cup of vegetables. So each week, we're just adding more things on top of it. So in week 2, you're going to move to only 4 meal replacements. So you'll take one of your meal replacements out. You'll still do your extra cup of vegetables, but this week you're going to add 2 pieces of fruit or 1 cup of melon or berries. So each half cup equals 1 of your fruits, and you're going to have 2 fruits. And this is really good practice this week to learn how to pair a fruit with a protein, because we know now that fruit is sugar. It spikes your blood sugar. So it's always just good to remember to pair a protein and a carb. So have that piece of fruit like with one of your meal replacements. Maybe put some berries into your smoothie, or have a piece of fruit, you know, in the afternoon with a meal replacement. Or maybe have a cheese stick, part of your lean protein, with a piece of fruit. So you're pairing it together. Now, just a heads up, week 2 is really common to feel more hungry on week 2 because your calories are still low. Week 1, you might have stayed in fat burn depending on what vegetables you're adding in, but for sure on week 2, you're out of fat burn. And so your calories aren't really high, and so your body's sometimes a little bit more hungry. So I always just recommend do that extra 2 to 3 extra ounces of protein that Nutrition Support approves that you can do anytime that you're feeling hungry during the program, but definitely week 2 might be when you want to add like a boiled egg or something with one of those pieces of fruit if you're feeling hungry. All right. And if anyone has any questions along the way, feel free to unmute yourself, ask away. All right, week 3. We are going to add in dairy this week. So you're going to continue with 4 meal replacements. We're not taking a meal replacement out on week 3. You're still going to have your cup of vegetables, and you're still going to have your 2 pieces of fruit. But this week we're going to add in a serving of dairy. And I love to look for high protein dairy that's low fat. For example, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, the transition guide even says you can have frozen yogurt if you want. So, or you can do some milk, make one of your shakes with some milk if you want to keep it simple. If you did not eat dairy before doing the program, don't feel like you need to add that in. You could just do a cup of almond milk or soy milk or something like that to replace that. But this is kind of a fun week that you can add the cottage cheese or the Greek yogurt or the cheese stick to go with your fruit that you were eating the week before. And this is usually the week that you're not feeling hungry because you get to add that extra protein. All right, moving on. And I'm just kind of going over this really quickly. So like I said, ask questions if you have any questions. Okay, week 4. This is where we're adding our grains in. And we're going to take out another meal replacement. So this week you're going to do 3 meal replacements and basically 3 meals. 3 meals, 3 meal replacements. You're going to add in 4 extra ounces of protein, and you're going to add a serving of grain. So it kind of looks like you're doing like 2 lean and green meals, 2 pieces of fruit, an extra serving of dairy, and grain. And so, so it might look like you have a Greek yogurt and a piece of fruit, and then a meal replacement, and then lean and green maybe with some whole grain, some brown rice or something, and then a meal replacement. And then your lean and green, and then a meal replacement at night. That's kind of an example of what that would look like. Now, when we add the grains in, this is great practice to start choosing healthy grains. We don't want to go back to white bread, white flour. We want things that have fiber that are going to be more nutritious for you. And so that might look like a piece of whole grain bread, whole grain English muffin, high fiber cereal, whole wheat pasta, might be still cut oatmeal, brown rice, something like that, quinoa. So those are good options. One other thing that I always recommend with grains is even when you're done with the weight loss phase and you're in the optimization phase, I still like to eat. If I'm going to eat bread, I really don't eat a lot of bread because I'm really aware of what carbs do to my blood sugar. But if I'm going to eat bread, I always do it earlier in the day. I don't want to eat a lot of carbs at night before I go to bed. So if I'm having fruit and bread, I usually do that for breakfast or lunch. And then I keep the later part of the day more lean and green. That way your body has time to burn those carbs before you're going to bed. It doesn't need to store it in your fat cells at night. So that's just kind of a quick tip that I like to do. So for that extra protein, you can actually swap out beans, 4 ounces of beans like black beans or something in place of that protein, or you can just add 4 extra ounces of protein during the day. So it could be an omelet for breakfast or chicken salad for lunch, something like that. Or if you're doing that whole grain piece of bread, you could do a piece of bread with, kind of like a half a sandwich. You could do that with whole grain bread. So basically it's 3 meals, 3 snacks at that time. And then at that time, we will figure out your T. So you reach out to your coach, you figure out where you need to be to maintain where you want to stay. So let's say that you're figuring out how many calories you need. It has you put in your exercise level. I always recommend guessing lower than you actually are on your exercise. So, moderate, high intensity, sedentary. I always recommend going one lower. So if you usually do high intensity exercises, maybe guess moderate just at the beginning because you can kind of see what your body's doing. If you're still losing, then you want to add more in. But if you're gaining, then that's probably means that maybe you figured that out a little bit too high. So when you end the transition, you're going to be at about 1,500 calories at that point. So depending on what your T was, let's say that you're active and you're burning, 1,900 calories, let's say. At that point, you would just add 100 calories per week until you get to that 1,900 calories. And then you're just monitoring your weight every week. If it starts going up, then, just go over, keep a food log, just go over that with your coach, and maybe see what could be replaced. Maybe you want to increase some exercise to burn a little bit more calories, so that can help. But definitely, if you haven't started exercise before transition, it's a good time to start exercise. Be in a routine of doing something for exercise because that really helps with maintenance. Having that couple extra 100 calories a day of wiggle room can really help. All right, does anyone have any questions so far? I know I went through that really quickly and it might be confusing, but don't worry. Your coach can walk you through this week by week. Just tell you what to do that week that you are on with transition. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Hey, Liz.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily have a question, but I did have something to add. So on weeks 2 and 3, when it says when you take out one of your fuelings, and so you're having 4 fuelings, I like to offer the option of splitting your lean and green meal so that you're still eating 6 times per day, because we're kind of in that habit, right, to eat 6 times per day at that point. And so and that's something that we want to continue, is to eat 6 times per day. And you know, it is okay, you know, when you're maintaining a healthy weight, to eat like 5 or 6 times per day. But I just wanted to add that in there too, for anybody who was wondering, like, well, I thought we were supposed to eat 6 times a day. So that's an option to you know, have that lean and green meal split up into 2 times of eating, so you can still do 6 times.
That's a good suggestion. Yep, and that's why I suggested eating part of your protein with a piece of your fruit during the day, or doing that extra 2 to 3 extra ounces of protein that you're allowed, just because usually that's the week that you're a little bit more hungry. So yes, you'd want to continue eating on your scheduled times. And you guys, those are your scheduled times for the rest of your life. I still eat at the same times that I ate when I was on the 5 and 1. I still continue those same times. So those are like your fueling times for your body for the rest of your life. So that's just good to remember, to not get out of that habit. So thank you, Alina. And it's good to think about your current habits. So eating within an hour of waking up is for the rest of your life. You want to do that. Eating every 3 hours, balanced meals for the rest of your life. You want to do that. Drinking up to 100 ounces of water, you know, at least 64 ounces. That's crucial for keeping your weight off. Sleeping at least 7 hours a night is really important for keeping your weight off. Exercise, adding that in, that's going to help you, not just physically, but mentally. Like, just if you're taking time to add in exercise, that sends a message to your brain that your health's important to you and you're focusing on that. And then managing your stress, being really aware of how you're managing your stress, listening to your thoughts. If you notice yourself craving chocolate every time you're stressed, you know, that's a habit to recognize, and you're going to want to change that for a healthier habit, because that's where a lot of people get into trouble, is maybe they go through a stressful period in their life with work, or maybe, you know, a family problem, and it's so easy to go back to those bad habits that got you where you were to start with. So really being aware of that stress management is going to help. And I call them my high fives. And so I love this visual that one of our coaches made for high five, to remember those 5 healthy habits. And ask yourself, what can I do better? Each night I think, how did I do with my high five? You know, oh, did I get my exercise? Did I drink my water? Did I get all 6 of my meals? And like, just ask yourself how you're doing with your high five often. So at least once a week, evaluate your habits. All right. And you guys have probably seen this in Dr. A's Habits of Health book. This just teaches the importance of eating the 6 small meals a day to keep your blood sugar balanced. There's been studies, the biggest one was at University of Toronto. They had 2 groups of people that ate the exact amount of calories, exact same foods, but one ate them 6 meals a day. One group ate them 3 times a day, the exact same foods. And the group that ate them 6 times a day, they lost more weight, they were less hungry, they reduced their cholesterol and insulin levels drastically. But one thing that you guys will notice is if you go too long without eating, your blood sugar drops, and then your body's craving quick carbs to get that back up. So that's when you're going to crave the sugar, the white bread, the unhealthy things, because your body wants to get that blood sugar back up. And so you're going to reach for something quick, you know, a quick carb, and that's going to spike your blood sugar. And your body's going to release a lot of insulin to help bring that down. And you know what it does? Whenever your blood sugar spikes, your insulin goes to work storing the fat into, or the glucose into the fat cells, and stores it as fat. So it's just kind of good to know like how your body works. If you can continue to keep your blood sugar balanced, then you're going to avoid the hunger and cravings, but you're going to avoid your body storing the fat cells. And so it's just good to know, no matter what you're eating, you want to think about that. Oh, I'm going to have a dessert. That's okay. Maybe I'll have a smaller portion than I used to eat, and I know that I want to have some protein with that. And maybe the dinner right before that dessert, I didn't eat any carbs because I knew I kept it lean and green because I knew I was going to have dessert. So just being a little bit more mindful about what you're eating is helpful too. And as far as the glycemic index, this is in your Habits of Health book. And it's just good to be aware of what foods are going to keep your blood sugar more stable. Any of these foods in the green, those are the foods you want to eat more of. These foods often have protein in it to help keep your blood sugar balance, less carbs. So these are like your go-to foods. The foods in the yellow or the orange, those are moderate carbs, so that does spike your blood sugar. For sure, you'd want to make sure you're pairing those with protein. And for sure, the red. The red means, not as often. Maybe as far as your fruits go, you'd have more berries versus pineapple and watermelon. Not to say you can't have pineapple and watermelon, but just know that those are high sugar fruits that will spike your blood sugar. So for sure, you're going to want to have a protein with those. All right, and then this is just a helpful thing. It's kind of like in school when you had to match, like find the match, but there's no wrong answer. Basically, every 3 hours, you're going to grab something from the protein list, something from the carb list, eat it together. You might have a meal replacement. That's an awesome option to keep on hand because you're going to live a active, healthy lifestyle and you're going to be busy. It's good to have something on hand that will keep your blood sugar balance for 3 hours. So next to my desk where I work, I have a cupboard full of Optavia bars that I can just grab something while I'm working, and I know I'm good for 3 hours. I don't need to get up and fix something, or if I'm on the go, I think about how long will I be gone? When did I eat? Do I need to take a snack with me? So I can take a bar with me. So that's really helpful. But if you have more time and you want to fix something, then maybe you'd have some Greek yogurt and some berries, or let's say almond butter with an apple, or boiled egg with a piece of whole grain toast. So you just kind of mix and match a protein and a carb. Every 3 hours, you want to match that as far as a snack goes. All right, when you're picking a meal and when you're fixing your plate for a meal, this is a good rule of thumb, the 9-inch plate. So I love to eat off of a smaller plate. I bought a whole bunch of smaller 9-inch plates. It's about the size of a paper plate. Because it tricks your brain to think that you're eating more. So if you don't have a 9-inch plate, next time you're at the dollar store or Walmart, pick up a 9-inch plate. And if you can find a blue one, that's even better because that sends calming messages to your brain. A red plate and a yellow plate would make you want to eat more. That's why fast food restaurants are always red and yellow. They want you to eat more. So when you're fixing your plate, always just remember you want half of your plate with vegetables. Sometimes you'll have a little fruit, but definitely vegetables. And remember, vegetables and fruits, they have equal vitamins. I mean, vegetables have the same vitamins as fruits. They're just sugar-free. So it's not like you have to have fruit all the time. If you're eating a lot of vegetables, you're still going to get probably more nutrition than eating fruit. So just remember, it's kind of the sugar-free version. So half your plate with vegetables, a quarter with protein, and a quarter with healthy carbs. And sometimes I don't add any carbs in a meal. I don't eat any fruit or bread. Sometimes I just love filling my plate with lean and green, and that's okay. So when I go to, let's say, a party or a buffet, honestly, I hate buffets, but if for some reason I happen to be at a buffet, I don't start at the end and just start putting things on my plate because you know how that goes. Your plate's so full, you maybe wanted to try too many things. So walk down the aisle and think, okay, what vegetables am I going to choose? What proteins are there here that I want? Okay, what's going to be my healthy carb? Maybe if you want a few things, you'll have a tiny bit of a few things instead of filling half your plate with one thing and then finding another thing that you want, and pretty soon you have too many carbs on your plate. So it's good to just plan ahead, visualize your plate before you start filling it. And you guys, I know I'm going pretty quick, but I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you have a question, make sure you let me know. And these are just my top tips. Stay accountable. Once you reach your healthy weight, that's when you need your coach even more to walk you through transition, to help you make sure you're keeping your weight off. I like to track my calories or have my clients track their calories that first month when they are transitioning, and that first month of that maintenance, just so that we can go through and, like, I love MyFitnessPal because it tells you how many grams of protein, how much sugar, how many calories. So you can kind of get a feel of what your body needs and what a good balance is. make sure you add in exercise. Plan ahead for success. We talked about that. Planning your meals ahead of time for the week so that you don't end up ordering pizza. If you already have lean and green ideas planned for the week. Continue using your fuelings. That is just going to help you maintain your weight. In my experience, my clients that don't use the fuelings usually go back on the 5-in-1 at least once a year because it's so much harder to keep your weight off if you don't have healthy snacks there for you. And always keep learning. You can keep listening to the Habits of Health calls. I have it on podcast, and I always just love to listen to that while I'm walking or doing the dishes. Go through your Habits of Health book once a year. And probably the biggest thing is pay it forward. That's why we really encourage you helping someone else, helping coach someone else on their health journey, because it's just an extension of the program. Getting yourself healthy is the first step, and helping other people is the next step. And I've really found that it's hard to go back if you're helping someone else move forward. If you're reminding someone else to drink their water, then you're going to think about how you're doing with your water. So there was a study that showed that health coaches with our company were 5 times more likely to not only get to their goal, but they were keeping it off. And not to say that health coaches are perfect. Health coaches still gain some weight back sometimes. You know, we're not perfect, but our slip cycle is faster. We keep going. We don't give up. We catch it faster, you know, when we're helping other people and we're working on personal development. So that's one thing that I love about health coaching. All right. I kind of just went through that really quickly. I would love to hear any questions that anyone has, if they need clarification or any other tips that help you with maintenance if you are already in that phase.
Liz?
Did I explain it really well? All right,
Yes,
Amy, go for it.
You did. I just have a little tip. I think it was on the 27th of March, there was a podcast. And it's called When the Rubber Hits the Road. And it's about maintaining and what that looks like. And even sometimes when we can abuse the 5-in-1, I really learned a lot from that podcast. So if you are, you might want to go, if you want to see a little bit more about what maintenance looks like and how we watch our healthy habits during that maintenance phase, go listen to that podcast. It was great.
Yeah, there's been some good ones lately. There was one on longevity that Craig Blanchard did or Craig Blanchett, that he did just a couple weeks ago. That was really good. There's been some really good ones, but I remember that one also, Amy. You can just go on podcast, go to Habits of Health, type in Habits of Health, and you can go through and look at the different topics. There are some great ones recently, or on YouTube, you can search in Habits of Health to get all of the playbacks on YouTube if you want to watch them. So thanks for adding that, Amy. And I encourage you to continue listening to those for the rest of your life if you can. Like, it really just helps you remember, oh, I should be, try that, or I haven't been doing great with my water. So yes, Alina confirmed it was called When the Rubber Hits the Road. All right, any other questions or tips that anyone wants to share? One thing I forgot to mention is the 5-in-1 is an amazing tool. So don't feel like you can't ever use that again. If you, I love to do the 5-in-1 for a week after a vacation, even if I didn't gain weight, or after a holiday, just to get back into those really good habits. You can do it up to a month and not have to go through the transition. If it's less than a month that you've been on the 5-in-1, you just kind of ease back into healthy eating, kind of like increase your carbs slowly, make healthy choices. But it's really such a great tool just to retrain those habits, get back into drinking your water, getting back on your schedule. I love doing that. It's kind of like a quick detox. Those of you that just jumped on to listen, did that help? Did you have any questions?
Can I add one more?
Yes, Vicki.
One is that we need to look at this not as a stopping point, but as a beginning point for
Yes.
where we're going to be going next. And so starting to dream and open our minds to what do we want this to look like? What do we want our life to look like? What in a year, what do we want to be? And it makes making all of these other decisions in between much easier to do. Even if you could describe a few words what you want to be like in a year, where would you like to be? What are some of the fun things that you'd like to do? And it helps keep us growing. It helps keep us moving forward. It also helps us understand what fears can grab us and hold us back. And we have a chance to really look at those and keep moving forward. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
It is just so much fun. We're talking about 5-10 years down the road here, even more. What do we want our life to be like? And so in all of this, take a few minutes, and talk to your coach and dream a little bit. You don't even have to know how you're going to get there. Just dream. And it's part of this transition. It's part of the whole moving forward. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Vicki. That's so true. This is just like the very beginning of the rest of your life. Getting healthy, that just enables you to dream a little bit bigger, do a little bit more, and know that you can accomplish that. So yes, celebrate the victories that when you hit a goal, but always have your next goal in mind. And that's one thing that I love about Optavia is it's not just about getting healthy, but it's about having a healthy mind, healthy body, and healthy finances. So if your dreams are big, share them with your coach, and they can really lay that out and help you to achieve those. And so that's a great transition. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. We're going to, for the next 30 minutes, talk about what health coaching looks like, because we did talk about how health coaching is probably the very best way that you will continue on your health journey, keep your weight off, and be able to help other people. So we'll just explain what health coaching might look like in your life. And so I'm just going to go ahead and stop the recording.